request the AV team for the introduction of Ms. Muskan Kakkar.
Car breaks down at the worst possible time? Well, thanks to Muskan Kakkar, getting it fixed is easier than ever. She didn't just join the auto industry, she's been steering it in a whole new direction. From taking a startup and turning it into a nationwide brand, she's made sure Go Mechanic isn't just a name, it's the go-to for car owners across India. While most people see cars as just a way to get to a destination, she sees efficiency, innovation, and a whole lot of business potential. Under her leadership, Go Mechanic isn't just fixing cars, it's fixing how India thinks about car maintenance. She's been featured on magazine covers, listed among top visionaries, and even made it to Forbes' India's growth story. Because when Muskan is in the driver's seat, success is the only destination. So buckle up and put your hands together for the woman redefining the automotive industry, Miss Muskan Kakkar.
Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to the panel. So, I heard from them about their aha moments. I heard from him about his journey. I wanted to know from you, what's the personal why behind your venture, beyond the revenue and growth, that fuels you every day?
I think everybody has got a different why.
That's
and
right.
For me, I clearly know that when I was starting up, I could clearly see that there was a problem statement in the market. Okay. And I knew that probably the solution I have can solve those issues. So that was the why for me to bring this idea.
Because otherwise it was a very unstructured industry before.
Very
Platform,
unorganized.
like very
yes.
unorganized.
Till
Correct.
today also, automobile is a very unorganized sector
The
for
auto service.
India.
Yes. Correct. Okay, let's dive deeper. So Nitin, how has technology helped you gain a competitive advantage? And what's one technological investment that you believe, there are a lot of tech stacks and technological advancements that happen, but one thing that eventually paid off. So can you put some insight on it?
So we being a technology company, of course, this is something which we pitch to all our customers. See, I definitely believe and truly believe technology is a great disruptor, right? It just amplifies what you do in a much, much larger way, right? So I think of a simple example, right? You track your deliveries, right? And you're able to see what exactly coming, when it is coming up, can you receive it on time, right? And you will be there or not there, right? So the kind of convenience it has given and kind of scale it has reached has improved the productivity of the workforce all across, right? So in our domain of supply chain, I'll give you an example like for trucks, right? When they're entering to warehouses, earlier it was complete mayhem in terms of how many trucks are coming, going out, which dock they need to unload the material, which dock they need to load. Now using simple technologies of yard management solutions, where you can easily track each and every truck, what they're going, when they're coming, where they're parked, you can easily identify the whole productivity of this truck within the warehouse, within the yard, and it just reduces the vehicle turnaround time, which is the most important metric for every warehouse, right? So technology has improved a lot. To give an example on what we have done as a technology innovation, see, warehouse always been, located in areas where network connectivity was not good. So always the solutions which used to be thought about, IT solutions, were on-premise, right? So there used to be on-premise server, which companies used to install for having digital solution on warehouse. One thing which we have done from the very start was, we believe if we really want to scale up, create that impact through technology, we have to be on the cloud. So from the very, very beginning, all our solutions are on cloud, which means it's highly scalable. We can go from any small warehouse to large warehouse, any location, any number of warehouse. And that has really helped us to grow immensely.
Yeah, because the ports and warehouses, as you rightly mentioned, they are in very remote locations. So
yes. So
good
being
thought.
on cloud gives us that edge and advantage. And yes, happy to grow there.
Great. Srikanth sir, so growth isn't always about, moving fast, but what we have heard, I mean, I am myself a startup founder, so it's always said that, it's about moving smart rather than moving fast. So how do you balance the data-driven strategies with the gut instinct that this is exactly the point where I should now scale?
So I'll try and give you a very counterintuitive time when that occurred to
Okay.
me. And that actually happened during COVID. COVID just hit us beginning of 2020.
Correct.
Lockdown was announced. We were in a business which is an average ticket size of between 8 and 10 lakhs a house. So nobody is going to click and buy online, and it's customized furniture. They have to come, choose, etc. So pretty much every single business in a consultative selling industry, take jewelry, take automobile, take our own business, which was interior design, end-to-end interiors, all of them experienced or resigned themselves to experience degrowth during COVID. They said, "Acha, abhi to 3 mahine ke liye kuch nahi ho sakta. Let's just shut shop.
Correct.
Shops anyway can't be open. Let's just not do anything." But I actually thought that was the right time. I actually remember this quote very well. If any of you are Formula One fans, there's supposedly the greatest driver ever, Ayrton Senna said this. He said, "It's extremely difficult to overtake 10 cars when the sun is shining bright. But when it's raining cats and dogs and everybody else is being careful, you can actually overtake 10 cars. The only time you can actually overtake 10 cars is when it's rain." And obviously COVID
It was
was a
raining
time
cats
when
and
it was
dogs.
raining
Correct.
cats and dogs. So I decided that we'll take a punt. We had built a software platform called Spacecraft, Crafting Space, where we could design homes without meeting customers virtually. We were not sure if customers would accept it because they are not used to signing a 10 lakh contract without going and meeting somebody. True. Right? But we said, you know what? We have the platform. Let's quickly train we had about 600 designers with us working there. And let's train them and get them to start closing orders. So from Feb 1st, we started meeting customers online. The
It was
first
all online?
lockdown, during the first lockdown, we closed orders of about 20 crores per month. The second lockdown during Delta wave, which was about 1 year later, we closed orders about 30 crores a month. We have not met a single customer face to face. No, not a single contact. And in the third wave, which was Omicron, we closed 50 crores a month. Not single customer met. So that was and we didn't have a single degrowth year. The only business in our industry, at least, who didn't have a degrowth year. We grew to FY21 by 17%. We then grew FY22 by 60%, whereas the average industry degrew by 33%. So we were like streets ahead. So that is one very
The
clear.
idea of online design consultation worked out.
Yeah.
Numbers. Great. So, Muskan, coming to you, building customer trust can be the ultimate billion-dollar strategy is what I believe, because customer experience and customer trust are pivotal for any startup's success story. So how did you navigate your way through this customer loyalty and experience challenges that you might have faced at your journey with Go Mechanic?
So, in Go Mechanic 2.0, generally people ask me that what was the mantra of success of Go Mechanic
Correct.
2.0? And that's a general question in every, wherever I go, people ask me. And I simply say the simple mantra of success of Go Mechanic 2.0 is the customer satisfaction. So, in the moment we took over, me and my co-founder, and when we were strategizing what needs to be done, what needs to be make sure that now we have to grow into multiple cities, because the idea was that we are going to grow in number of cities and all of that. So firstly we thought, what is that thing which needs to be changed at the ground level? And we literally have seen that probably we were just doing the marketing and we were just buying the customers. We were never retaining the customer. The customer experience was never taken care of. And that was somehow missed in the whole journey of what we were trying to build. And we realized at that time that if we will not be able to retain our customer, if we will not be able to focus on the customer journey, we will not be able to grow this business at all. So we immediately stopped. We paused in our business. We were available in 40 cities, and for the next 8 months, we were not doing anything, but we were only strategizing that how to make the customer happy, how to own the customer journey. And post 8 months, we realized that, you know, we do not really have to market much. We do not have to spend a lot of dollars on the marketing. What we only have to focus is just retain your customer, and you will become a billion-dollar company for sure. And today, if you ask me, that when we took over the organization, we were sitting at around 28% of retention rate. We are sitting right now at 53% of customer retention.
Almost double.
Yeah. And that was the success of Go Mechanic 2.0. So own the customer journey is the mantra of any successful business, I would say. We are not there, but we are trying to be there.
Okay. Since you mentioned about India, India is one of the world's fastest growing startup ecosystems today, and everybody has their own bets on this region now. It's only fitting that, you know, we take a moment to understand the India story, and not just where we are today, but where we are headed now. Okay. So India is known for its diversity, be it the markets, be it the languages, be it the culture that we see here, that varies every, say, 100 kilometers. How does it differ for each one of you in this diverse landscape? How do you function, and how do you operate? I wanted to understand that.
So I'll go first.
You can go first. Yeah.
So for us, as I said, that we are available, countrywide now, and we have seen our customers only. Like, for example, if you will go to Delhi, people are a little flashy, they want to drive cars like Lamborghini and Audis and Rolls-Royce of the world. And if you will see the colors also, very diversified, yellow,
gaudy colors,
orange, and all of that. And having said that, if you'll go to Hyderabad, same. People are fancy and they want to drive fancy cars. Vis-a-vis, if you will go to some place in Mumbai, or let's say Indore as well, people are very, they
calm
are,
and comfort.
Yeah, they're very humble. They want to drive black, white, grays. So, that's India for us. So all the colors, different culture, different languages, of course. And I think India has got a diversified portfolio and diversified people, where people have got a lot of ideas, a lot of creativity in them. India is full of entrepreneurs, and look at Zomato today, Blinkit today, who thought that on a click of a button you will be able to get what you want.
True.
So a lot of ideas, a lot of diversity. India is a growing country with growing entrepreneurs, so bright future, I would say.
Nitin sir, your views on this?
Sure. So let me bring some, I think, supply chain perspective on this. You talk about 100 square kilometer. I would say within even 10 square kilometer, there is so much of diversity. Let me give you a supply chain example here. Within that 10 square kilometer, you would have modern trade stores, you would have kirana stores, you will have quick commerce, you would have e-com, right? Different kind of customer segment within the same 10 square kilometer, right? So what it gives us is, yes, it's a very complex scenario. It's hard to solve off, but on the other hand, it's also an opportunity, right? So this diversity also gives us opportunity, also create potential that a lot of new entrepreneurs can come and really apply their mind to solve different kind of problem statement. There's so much of, let's say, volume which is available in India. So I think we are very excited, and it's give us a lot of new things, new ideas, even at that 10 square kilometer.
Shrikant sir, your views on this?
Yeah, so for us, I'll actually put it in 3 boxes. If you actually take HomeLane's customers, I can clearly see city by city. We are in 29 cities right now. City by city, there's a significant difference in the product mix. And that depends on 3 factors, according to me. One is the choice of whether they like sober or not so sober colors. I think Muskan already covered that, so
yeah.
I completely
The taste
concur.
of furniture.
Yeah, so whether they want to be flashy or not flashy, I think very clearly some cities are different, very different. Propensity to spend would be the second one. The ticket sizes that they get in a Delhi or in a Hyderabad will be about 50% more than the ticket sizes that we get in a, let's say, a Chennai. So Chennai will be very conservative. It's not like they don't have the ability to spend, but they will not. They're conservative.
The perception is different towards buying. Yeah.
If they have 15 lakh budget, they'll spend 10 lakhs. But in a Hyderabad, if they have a 15 lakh budget, we can probably excite them to spend 20 lakhs. So that's the difference between, but it's true, it's very, very true. I've seen it even in my previous business in education, but we'll talk about that some other time. The third one would actually be the catalog difference depending on whether the city is more conducive to moisture or not. For us, we do kitchens, wardrobes, etc., all kind of wood. So people in coastal areas only go for plywood because it's more resistant to moisture and it does not
termite
warp.
resistant.
It does not warp, yeah,
Yes,
weather resistant.
correct.
But if it's a Bangalore or it's a Hyderabad, you can go for particle board or MDF and it's
Humidity
cheaper
levels are-
cost, but it works. But it does not work in a coastal area. So it depends on these three factors.
I had a follow-up question, so that, given the same diverse journey that you mentioned of, do you think sometimes, in your ample time, that if there was one change that you could do to Homelane's journey, and that could have, changed the growth trajectory, what would that one change be?
The one change would be, like I started Homelane in 2014. First 1 year, like I told you, we went through our own discovery phase. We didn't
That
know
was the
which
discovery
direction
phase,
to go.
correct.
After that, we started getting Chapad Fatke, we started getting orders. We had a reverse problem. We didn't know what to do and how to execute. Then we grew a little too fast, pressed the foot a little too hard on the accelerator, went to 6 cities. I probably spent the next 1 year, and I'm a very, OCD on math. So I met 149 VCs. I wanted to raise 50 million. End result, 1 year gone. Could not focus on the business in that 1 year, and I raised 2 million. So if there's one thing that I would change, I would have spent that 1 year better, more valuably,
Productive, yes.
by focusing more on running the business rather than going after raising that 50 million, which I finally didn't end up raising. So
Correct. Very true. And to you, Nitin sir, imagine, Stackbox launched just 2 years later than it was initially launched. Then would you have shaped your approach in a different manner? Would things have changed for you given the logistics landscape evolution that we see every few years?
Okay, interesting. See, I think the journey would remain same. Things probably we could have done differently is, we started in B2B domain, right? On supply chain side. I think one trend which nobody saw coming was quick commerce, a 10-minute delivery, right? And if we would have probably, delayed our journey by 2 years or 3 years, I think quick commerce is expanding a lot and would have been, very keen to be part of that as well, along with what we are doing in B2B. So yes, I think on the business side, maybe there could be some kind of tweaking, but in terms of other part of the journey, we are fully satisfied what we have done and what we have achieved. Thanks.
Nice. And to you, Muskan ma'am, we spoke about how the unorganized this industry of auto service and in general the automobile was. Then came platforms and startups like Go Mechanic who transformed and revolutionized how we deal with the service, auto service, and how the platform functions in general. Given a vision of 2030, what do you foresee as, the trend change or the trend setting activities that you would, undertake in the years to come?
I think in auto sector, everybody is very bullish on the idea of getting EVs in India, right? That's the future. And I myself is a EV customer already, and trust me, I'm more than satisfied. So I think EV and hybrid cars are going to be the future of our country. And today at Go Mechanic, we are evolving ourselves. We are making sure that we are ahead of times, and we are already creating, as we speak, we have already launched 13 EV centers, wherein if you own an EV car, you can already get your EV car service through Go Mechanic. Of course, from retail perspective, the customers are not coming because the cars are fairly new, but in B2B sector, already we have started servicing the EV vehicles. So we are making sure that our teams are getting prepared, they are getting trained enough to handle EV vertical in our country so that people do not hesitate to buy EV cars.
So EV is one big change that you foresee now.
That for sure, in automobile, that's going to be a game changer.
And we would need the readiness in terms of the ecosystem.
That's what we are preparing for. We really want to give that, the entire infrastructure to our country so that people do not hesitate.
Okay. So, taking a quick detour on the lighter side of the India story, so we spoke about the growth and all. So, to you, Srikanth sir, if India's startup ecosystem were a Bollywood movie, what would be the title?
Kabhi Kushi, Kabhi Gum. Mostly gum actually, but Kabhi Kushi, yeah, once in a while.
And Nitin sir, which one Indian festival or tradition inspires creativity or innovation in your team?
I think now we are seeing, right, Mahakumbh happening. Right? If you see, that is actually a big supply chain problem statement solved by government, right? So that's an inspiration. That's an inspiration not just for India and every Indian, but I think that's an inspiration for the world. So yes, we really got inspired by Mahakumbh.
Okay. And Muskan, if you had to compare India's startup journey to a game, what game would it be and why?
It's funny. I would compare it with snakes and ladders. Samsidi. Sometimes, you are on the top of your game and sometimes you feel low. So that's how it is.
Snakes and ladders. Okay. So let's conclude with a quick rapid fire before we move down. So first thing anybody can answer, by the way. So first thing you check in the morning, funds raised, user numbers or social media buzz?
Yeah, I think user numbers for me. How's
Okay.
the adoption? Yes.
Okay.
Numbers always.
None of the above. I take my dog for a walk.
Okay. Okay. Your go-to stress buster, a good cup of coffee, music or a quick scroll through memes?
For me, not exactly memes, but I love YouTubing. I see a lot of podcasts. And that's a
Influencer
good,
podcasts.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I think for me, my kids, they are the big stress busters.
Family, correct.
Filter coffee.
Filter coffee. So another question to you then. The real startup fuel, a coffee, ambition or deadliness?
Sorry,
Deadlines.
what are the three?
Coffee, ambition or deadlines?
Oh, I think deadlines. Deadlines actually, we all are used to deadlines. We all used to targets. When I'm saying deadlines, I mean targets. I mean, at least I think a
Correct.
little more quantified
That
way.
fuels the startup journey.
Yeah, so you always work target backwards. So, kind of. So, I do believe that that's, if I have to choose amongst the three.
So that would be the deadline.
Yeah.
And last one, the startup, what is the right cultural vibe at a startup? So it is a structured, functioning, organized innovation or a free-spirited hustle? The ideal one.
okay, see, as a culture, at least in our startup, we are very clear in terms of output and productivity. So there is no structure, there is no functional requirement. At the end of the day, there are some deliverables which need to be achieved. We are very clear. As a company, we don't have that somebody has to be there at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Or is it a Monday that everybody has to be there? No, you can take an off on Monday. You can work on Saturday, Sunday if that's how it is. The final outcome and the quality of outcome is what matters. So that's how we want to define it.
Okay, all right. So we wrap up the session here now. To my panelists, thank you for the insightful session and making this afternoon truly unforgettable. Ayush, you may take over.
I thank you, all the panelists, Mr. Srikanth Iyer, Mr. Nitin Babudia, and Muskan ma'am, for taking out the time and giving us such an insight sessions. I thank you, the beautiful audience, for listening us and taking all the key takeaways. I now request the AV to please show us the key takeaways as well as the motivational video. Thank you, everyone.